I'm being polite. Who's up?
You are.
Okay, hi, I'm Ann Rose, and I'm from, I live in Connecticut, but I work in New York. I'm an instructional coach, and I've been a fan of Vivett from the second I met her. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
All right, Derek. Dan Ryder. Dan Ryder. Derek, are you there?
I'm coming. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm doing two things at once. So I was just getting kids in bed and
No excuses. I just cleaned an entire oven with my bare hands.
fantastic. So my wife and I redid our kitchen this weekend, and now we're putting the protective coat over our cabinet. So that's our project for tonight. So anyway, so I'm Derek Long. I teach African American literature at Pittsburgh Perry High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What else was I supposed to answer? What other questions?
No, it's like, why are you here, man? Given that you have this kitchen work going on, you have so much going on.
I'm trying to delay doing as much kitchen work as possible. No, but just looking around the screen, I've got nothing but love for everybody here. So it's very cool to see you guys and miss hanging out and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you also. Dan, you want to go next?
Sure. Dan Ryder, English teacher at Mount Blue High School in Farmington, Maine, up in the Western Foothills. And let's see, what else am I supposed to say? I do the design thinking thing because I love it, and the empathy-driven problem solving, and that's how I teach English, is through that lens. And why am I here tonight? Because I thought this was the most productive form of procrastinating I could possibly do. There's all kinds of great people on here, and I dig what all is happening with the Savenzo. So,
awesome.
I thought, hey,
Might as well, huh?
right.
So just because you guys all joined, I just want to reintroduce Vivett, who is our incredible host for this evening. And she's the reason that I am here because she's one of our community guides and is a friend, and so inspired me and moved me with her post, The Answer to Change the Room. And what I reflected on is like how vulnerable it is to not only experience what Vivett experienced with her students, but then like share that in a blog post with other teachers to help them build courage to maybe do something similar in their classroom. And I frankly don't think I had that courage when I was in the classroom. Like, it's easy to fall back on, I'm a refugee from Bosnia, but that's not as personal as something like this. So super grateful to you for modeling radical vulnerability, friend. And I want to turn it over to you and just sort of ask if you could just do a little recap of why you wrote this blog, like what it took to write it, why you thought it was important to share. And then I'd love for the folks on the call to just pose the burning questions that so many of you had coming into this conversation, because you're here to see Vivett and she moves you and you love her. So take it away, Vivett. Oh, Christina! We did not introduce Christina. These windows are killing me. Wonderful teammate, Christina from Brooklyn. Please introduce
Hey, I'm Christina Esquivel. I live in Washington, D.C., and I am the partner and educator engagement lead for Savenzo. Really excited to continue, as I have in my career, working with educators and trying to make your lives easier and share the stories of the powerful work that you're doing. So I'm a big fan of Vivett, and I'm really excited to hear more of her story and to learn more about all of you.
So Thank you, Christina. And now, you guys, I have figured out how to look at all of you at the same time. I'm very excited about functionality. I will never miss a person again. And I see William Anderson, who just muted himself, is also here. Hello, friend. Could you? Oh.
Uh-oh.
He has been scared off. He'll come back. So, Vivett, you want to take it away and tell us a little bit about, I know William has maybe a little bit of background as well, how you got to this place.
Sure. Meaning how I got here at this. Okay, so first of all, thank you to everyone for joining. I'm kind of nervous, but more excited than anything. And just the level of support is really amazing because I'm really here as an ambassador for my students and students everywhere. So first of all, I really have to give credit where it's due. And my husband, John, is the person who really encouraged me to be super vulnerable. And he said, you just have to share your truth. I was and am in a really happy marriage. Like, we have great communication, a wonderful relationship, a friendship. But I was not knowing how to navigate, telling people I'm married and that my husband is incarcerated. And that was really an issue for me. And I felt a lot of shame. And he said, Viv, I can't help you with that. You have to speak your truth, whatever that is. And it was really powerful because I felt like he kind of left me out there. But he was like, no, you have to fend for that one yourself because it's your truth. And that really resonated with me. And I started working at a new school. I wear my wedding band, and a student said, oh, I teach 7th grade. And I have girls now. I've been teaching boys previously for 4 years. And I have girls, and 7th grade girls are a totally different beast if anyone's ever taught them. God bless us all. And, they were like, oh, Miss Dukes, everyone's Miss. So they don't know if you're Mrs., Ms., they don't know. And they said, oh, you're married? A group of them. I said, yes, I'm married. Oh, let me see wedding pictures. I'm like, oh, God. Because we got married while he was in prison. So you'll know by the wedding picture that, it wasn't at a catering home. And so I kind of was like, all right, I have to find it on my phone. And I was feeling uneasy and not really sure. And I had shared, but not in that kind of way, and definitely not with the student. Definitely not. And I just decided, like, I got saved by the bell that day, literally. The bell rang. I was like, all right, got you later. I'm like, thank you, God. So, of course, she came back because this student I saw in hindsight was bonding with me. There was something about me that she liked, that she was trying to get to know me. And so she said, yo, what's up with the picture? How come you never showed me a picture of your husband? And I asked you for it. So I showed her. I just decided, kind of just like, all right, you just got to do it. And she was like, wait, hold up. He's locked up? That's literally how she said it. Like, hold up, he's locked up? I was like, yeah, he is. And it just led into a whole conversation, came to find out that student's mom recently passed away, like in the last couple years, that she had family members and friends from her neighborhood who were also incarcerated, and like we bonded. Now, did I have to get super exposed? No, I didn't go into the details, but just the fact that I was sharing with her something personal about me allowed her to share with me. Does she still give me a lot of hell in class? She does. But can anybody like kind of settle her down the way I can? Not really. And I know that's a direct result of that moment that I shared with her and just kind of gave her my honest answer and shared my truth with her. So, I can't really teach anyone how to do it. I can just tell you that it's powerful to do it. And when you let that inner voice really guide you, and you'll know when. Like I knew, just tell her, don't front, because she kind of picked up that I was kind of fronting a little bit. Like, why are you acting like that? Why aren't you showing me? And so when I showed her, it said something to her. I think about me and about adults, about teachers. Like, we're human.
So we are human, man, and I thank you for sharing that story. Does anybody want to, William, hello.
Hey, Will.
Does anybody want to just reflect on that? Amy, go ahead. You're on mute. Oh. I think the mute is on the bottom. Okay.
So I just wanted to point out that people of color are much more likely to have someone that they know or that they are related to who has been in prison. Like for instance, there's a whole series that Vivett has done called "The Letters from John," that talks about the school to prison pipeline. And I think that especially with kids who are not white or not of a particular socioeconomic status, that could actually be a bonding thing. And it's a very sad kind of bonding thing. It's a very, very sad bonding thing completely. But I think that Vivett built a bridge here and used this, instinctively as a teaching moment. And I hope that I'll be brave enough to use it as a teaching moment with some of my students too. But I think it's going to make a big difference in how I relate to my students. And I'm just so grateful that Vivett was able to honestly call attention to that.
Yeah, and Amy, I'm personally grateful to you for how you opened up this meeting and what you shared. And you know what, not everybody has gone through the experience.
That's me. I'm trying to switch over.
All right, Rose, you got it.
Now I'm on my computer. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes? No?
Hello. And is somebody else join us?
Here.
720-470. Hello?
Masha, that's me, Julianne.
Hi, Julianne from Denver, where William is.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So can you guys as teachers, I'm just going to go ahead and sort of call out the elephant in the room. There's a lot going on in our country right now. Speaking of the school to prison pipeline, the only stock that went up post-election was private prison stock. And I think that's really scary. I have seen a lot of heartache on Facebook and elsewhere from my friends and teachers who are literally having to take the burden of like, what does this mean for all of us on their shoulders? And so I'd love for you guys to just, as Amy did, I get this is like a hard conversation. It's the first time we're doing this sort of live Savenzo event, but the goal here is to really just sort of understand so that we understand like, what does it take to do this in our class with students who are incarcerated? How do you guys like think about that? Do you have students whose parents are incarcerated in your classroom? And then what are some like parallels in terms of your own classrooms that you can draw strength from in this experience? Because again, I'm floored that you shared it with Vivett. And as you know that I was on the first Google Hangout that we had. And Amy was so inspired by that it's like been essentially life altering to her. So there's real power in this, not only for students, but I feel like for teachers who are right now like having to face this entire load of fear that their kids might be bringing, or sadness or embarrassment or humiliation, and all these words that you use, Vivett, to their classroom. So I know it's like not going to be super comfortable per se to jump in, but Amy, thank you for doing it. Anybody else have some thoughts? I'm looking at you, William, because I know you're looking up because you're thinking something up. Do you guys have students whose parents are incarcerated? Do you even know?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, man. It's a thing that, as a school, was a big enough issue that we showed our whole. I think we have about 315 students. 2 weeks ago, the documentary 13th, just to be able to really start a dialogue. So, like the whole week before, we kind of had discussions in our prep for success classes, which are like our homeroom classes for the entire week, kind of centered around not only the school to prison pipeline, but also the effects that it has on our communities, and providing a space for our students to really be able to discuss what that means to them, whether that means their family members who have been locked up, the instances in which they've been locked up, their interactions with the police, their feelings about the police, and then seeing the documentary and being able to build on like a school having that kind of shared knowledge and kind of framing for having more conversations about it the following week after we showed it. And I mean, it was really, really powerful stuff, because for certain students, it made them not feel, it added a sense of belonging. They didn't feel like I'm the only kid in this room who has somebody who's locked up. They realized that this is a shared experience amongst the healthy majority of us. If it's not just one person in particular, it's like if it's not your mom or your dad, it's your friend, it's your uncle, it's your whoever it may be, or it's my best friend's mom or dad or friend or uncle. And deportation also got brought up too, because we also have students who have lost parents to deportation who are still at home living with aunties and grandmas, and almost would prefer jail over deportation, because at least then they could go and visit rather than not being able to have any sort of real physical contact with the kids. So it's real. There's ways to kind of create an open space for dialogue, but I mean, I think it's one of those things that we're going to have to constantly revisit throughout the school year in order to really be able to make any real movement or traction with helping students cope with that type of trauma or experience.
So I see people sharing on the right, but I appreciate you bringing up the trauma that results from both having that happen in your family, but then also, to your point about like feeling shame about that, right? Feeling that shameful, like bringing shame with you to the school. So the question for you guys is, and this is something we think a lot about at Savenzo, because we want to talk to teachers, but we also want to talk to guidance counselors and mental health care workers, and like who is responsible for, like in your minds, whose job is it to be like, we have to watch the 13th as a school and create a culture where this is not shameful, this is something that we talk about? Like, who is, given everything that's on your plates as teachers, how do you even go about doing that? Does it have to be a principal that makes that happen, or do you insert some of these ideas that Derek and Dan are sharing?
I'm just going to jump in with that one because there are a whole cross section of students who are hidden on us, okay? Who go to prisons every week to see their moms, their dads, uncles, whomever it is, that nobody knows about. And there is such shame surrounded around this idea of having a parent who was incarcerated. Like, that's a group that I am now intimately involved with. And I want to broaden this conversation, if I may, to not just children of incarcerated parents or wives with incarcerated husbands, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, there's just this lack of feeling connected, but we all share a space for 45 to 90 minutes a day and share a school building for 6 hours a day, but there is a lot of disconnectedness going on. And so, like after the Trump election, my students brought a lot of issues to me. Like, I'm legit scared that my parents might get deported. I'm legit scared that maybe I shouldn't wear my hijab anymore because I don't want to be targeted. I'm legit scared. This is what they're saying to me, like, I'm gay. I don't know if I, like, should I hide it? What do I say? I don't know what to say. I could just tell them, well, you're safe here, baby. And that's all I can really give you. Like, you're safe here. Whoever you are, be that person here. Because I'm who I am in front of you.
I think that's what you need to do, is let them know that they're safe there. But there's a lot of people who are, like you said, legit scared.
Yeah.
And the world has changed overnight. I see it very differently now than I saw it 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I'm not giving anybody a chance. But, yeah, I think that you just have to keep reassuring them that you got them, But it's very different.
I see a lot of messages coming through. If I talk and write a message, do you guys still see me or do I look frozen? Because they're like, you still, okay.
Yeah, so I just noticed them too. So I think this is a really interesting point that you're bringing up, Dan, about FERPA becoming a double-edged sword. And so this is what I cannot understand about our system, right? You have teachers who say, you can come here and make, this is a safe space, baby, right? Like, you come here, I will take care of you. But then, like, depending on what's going on, like in rural Maine, you're dealing with incarceration, but also with broken, separated, estranged family. And I remember when I was teaching, this is a question to you guys, like, okay, so come to my room, you're safe here. What happens if a student asks for help, like, especially in this moment in time where, look what's going on in Texas today, right? Like, they're talking about outing kids. Are you kidding me? Like, that could be a mandate. So as a teacher, like, I feel like you guys are in closest proximity to kids. What are some of these things that get in the way? What do you mean by FERPA? Dan, and what are the other things that get in the way that we got to talk about now, because we have to tackle that head on?
Well, whenever we get into these kind of conversations, I feel awkward in that spot where I'm not dealing with a particularly ethnically diverse population at all, because of where I am. But I'm only 40 minutes away from an incredibly ethnic diverse population in Lewiston. It's a huge, Maine is like rapidly changing, and people don't realize it, because if you're not living here, you don't see it, you don't know about it. We have like a massive Somali population 40 minutes down the road, and it doesn't take almost no time to get there. So, but that doesn't really answer the question. But it's just why I'm like hesitant to talk out loud about things, because I feel like I don't really always have like the best perspective. But one of the things that I would like to see happen, and it takes courage on the part of administrators to do this, and most don't have that courage, for a number of reasons, because it's scary. But why don't we have an opt-in system where a family can click on when they sign up their paperwork and then they turn it in, like, I'm just thinking like at the high school level, where you can opt in to say, may teachers access information about your family that you have included here in the service of supporting service for your student, your child, the subject of your guardianship, whatever it is, so that I don't have to go hunting up. Like, I just had this happen 2 weeks ago. I had a kid in absolute like disarray, and I could not figure out what was wrong with him. And it's a kid I've known for 2 years, and we're really tight, and he tells me everything. And he wouldn't tell me jack about what was going on. Just he had a bad weekend, but he was a mess. He couldn't function. This is a kid who sometimes is living in his house, sometimes is living with his grandmother, sometimes living with his brother, sometimes living with friends. Every week is different. You never know. He has a rotation of 7 shirts. I know what day of the week it is because I know what shirt he wears on which day. And he's just a mess. So I go to guidance. I ask for some help. I need some insight on this kid because I'm really concerned about him, that he's really despondent. He's never like this. He's stressed all the time, but he's never despondent and like to an extreme. So says she'll check in. We come up with some way so he doesn't have to feel stigmatized when he gets called down. He gets called down. I check in the next day. I have to go and hunt her down, say, so what happened? I talk to him. Everything's he's safe. I'm like, okay. And yeah, he's safe. He's just a lot going on in that family right now. I'm like, yeah. And is there anything I could know that would be a trigger or something that, what do I need to, well, and she wouldn't tell me anything, but she knew everything. She knew everything going on with this kid. And I'm like, I'm going to be of no use to him because I have no more information than I had when I walked down and said, you need to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And that's really frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. And there's got to be a way to build a system that doesn't allow everybody and their cousin to find out everything they want to know when they want to know it. But the same way, when these kids are in these situations where they need our support and they need us to be able to help them, that we can do so. Mm. Sorry, that was a rant, but that is just, it seems like it's not that hard to do.
Well, it also just blew my mind because we had a guidance counselor, Miss Jolly, when I was working, and she had so many cases. One guidance counselor, 1,300 kids, she couldn't handle it all. But none of us had the information we needed either, right? Or frankly, I personally didn't have the skill set to follow up if I had the information. So thank you for sharing that. I don't think it was a rant. I think that's actually a really important point, that if you want to create a sense of belonging for a child, you probably need to know what's going on in the family and in their life. I want to go back to your point that belonging is not limited to race, Vivett. So I think for me, one of, we as a team, some of the community guides, we were all going to read and talk about, but we ran out of time, the book For White Folks Who Teach in the Hood. And I think what's really interesting to me about that book is how the author, he's a Black man, right, admits oh man, I had no idea what I was doing with my students, right? I'm a Black man, they're Black students. I had no idea what I was doing when I was in my classroom. I was sort of creating this oppressive state. And I thought that was radical vulnerability. And then I think about your point about feeling guilty almost that you're from Maine. And I think about all of the people in rural America who, among other things, helped vote Trump into the presidency, right? All these people who, as my friend Lisa was telling me the other day, in rural Pennsylvania, don't have access to services, right? They just don't. They don't have access to childcare and prenatal care. And even if it exists, they can't afford to drive there and all these things. And so I feel like I appreciate you throwing out the support, Vivett, in terms of this conversation. And so many of you stated that typically it's minority kids who are seeing their parents go to prison. But I think with now undocumented parents and frankly our Muslim students, there's a lot of fear right now amongst my friends that many more people are going to enter the school to prison pipeline, and their families will as well. What are just, in terms of the populations you work with, and Derek, you work in one of the hardest high schools in Pittsburgh, man. I have been there. I'm glad you have a principal, finally. That's good. It's good that they came in October. But some of you guys who are working with kids, how might you, can you just share a little bit, and then how might you create this sort of space Vivett did to let them in? Because there's a lot of fear out there right now.
So I'll jump in a little bit. I don't know if our school is one of the hardest in this. I mean, whatever. But like, so the day after the election, like I think it was like a numb feeling in our school. We are 85% black, 15% white, but then we've got like our teaching staff is like 85% white and 50% black. So it's a really, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic that we have issues to work through. But the day after the election was kind of like this numbness, and I had students coming up to me and like kind of half joking, kind of half not, saying, "He can't really send us back to Africa, can he?" And like just the fact that they were even considering that, like, it was entering into their psyche that like this person, could like, literally like deport, citizens, and like, as irrational as we see that, and as irrational as like we think about that, it's still like a fear that was like entering into the psyche of the student, and like they had to bring that to school the next day because of this election cycle. So I mean, it's like it's like my 5-year-old being, or 4-year-old being scared of the dark. Like, it's an irrational fear, but it's still a fear that's entering into a psyche. So like, whenever we talk about belonging and talking about, feeling comfortable and feeling safe in a school, like whenever you've got this kind of like big idea looming over them in, the country, like, that directly affects them in school, not even considering all the other community stuff that they've got, that they're dealing with when they're coming to school. So like, the thing that I have found to kind of combat all of this is just taking the time to listen to kids and talk to kids, and getting to know them as individuals, and not knowing them as like students, but knowing them as Terlacia and Teddy and Keelan, and then using that relationship and leveraging that relationship to have real relationships with students. I mean, that is, whenever it comes down to it, like, that's why we do what we do, and that's why, and that's how things are going to change. That's how things are going to be stable. But yeah.
So, Anne Rose, I saw you shaking your head a lot. How are you? Because I know you're an amazing person. I've been tracking you on Facebook, and it's been breaking my heart. How are you
Yeah.
helping your kids feel like, so, Derek said just talking to them, like, what have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, I teach many different kids. I don't have my own class as an instructional coach. So I guess just coming in when I enter a class and just make sure that I make much more eye contact than I did before. And I'm trying to pay more attention to the kids who I can see are more quiet than the last time I was there. I don't know them as well as their teachers do, but I'm just, like, even just visually checking in with them, making sure that they see that I look at them. But that word numb that Derek mentioned, I see that, like, even in little kids. I work with kids as young as 2nd grade, and there's just something different. I don't know. So I just kind of reassure them I'm there. And I think the whole point of just making sure you're listening, because a couple of people mentioned questions. Sometimes you don't need to ask questions. You just need to let people know that you're listening, and then they tend to open up. But the fear is real. And, I work mostly with ELL students, and it is a real fear for them that their family's going to be split up. So we had some crying kids, but the teachers are great. They just reassure their kids that they're okay and they're safe there. And for now, we're kind of in a holding pattern because our friend there keeps changing his mind every 5 seconds. So who knows who he's going after next? But it's definitely
this
frightening.
is just getting longer.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll start cutting it down at some point.
I don't know. I just keep saying, who's going to save us? Like, there's got to be somebody who's going to come in and say, this guy's insane. but I don't know. They seem to be afraid of them, so we'll see. Keeping my fingers crossed.
So I know some other folks joined, so feel free to jump in. Can't really see the names, but we have about 14 minutes left, and what I wanted to reflect on is the sort of so many students, to your point, Vivett, that are coming to school, and there's this invisible truth, right? That they haven't felt the courage to own yet because nobody's created a space for that. So that's like a group thing going on. And I'm sure that a lot of undocumented kids, even if they're in second grade, are coming to school like that every day, and so many other types of kids. So that's a group effect, right? And you just carry the shame as an individual, but the whole group is experiencing it. That's insane. We're not allowed to talk about it. And then there's this like creating a space one-on-one and showing someone you're really listening so that they can come and share their fear. How do you guys, what are like the best things you've seen? And sounds like, William, you're in a really good school. I can't wait to come visit you, man. But with this like 13th for a week, I haven't heard that yet. But how are you guys, have you seen any school level versus some of these individual make eye contact and really listen cues? Have you seen any school level approaches that could help other teachers not have to figure out on their own how the heck to do this for all of their students?
One thing that we're doing at our school, and I mean, it's really a Denver public school kind of thing, is so since our district is probably made up with close to 60% Latino students or brown students, we have a lot of focus around being able to support our students who are documented and who are undocumented. So we all, at the beginning of the year, depending on which building you're in, and I've been in a few buildings that don't participate in this campaign, but teachers get these placards that they can put it in their rooms that say, my name is William Anderson, and I'm a safe person to talk to about being undocumented and yada, yada, yada. So like the teachers who support that put that up in their room so that the students who go in there and can see it can know, hey, this is a potential space for me to be able to have those sort of conversations. I think our classroom, the school that I'm in, is somewhat of an anomaly in the sense that our principal is very gung-ho about making sure that the students who we have come through our doors know that they're supported fully. So before we even get students in August, when it comes time to passing out those pieces, like those are conversations he's had with the teachers that he hires. Like, I don't hire teachers who wouldn't be willing to fill this out. If you don't want your classroom to be a safe space for undocumented students to be able to come and talk to about that, then this school probably isn't the best for you to work at. And making sure that the people who work there all sign on to those types of things. So students go from my room to the next room to the next room, depending on, no matter who the teacher is, what they look like, knowing that all the teachers here have said that we support and stand for these particular principles and values within the school. I do think that those type of campaigns run the danger of becoming tokenism when you don't have that administrative support. Because I can put up that sign and then still a student come talk to me about it, and I go like run and tell authorities or whatever the case may be, because I have some complex about that. But I think coupled with administrative support and not only us providing closely responsive instructional training for our teachers, but also in our hiring and firing practices, it can make that sense of belonging something that's really fluid throughout the system.
Does the same extend to family? So like so much of this is, right, like kids worried about their families. Does it extend to families?
For sure, absolutely. And we try to support families not only in like socially and emotionally, but also We have our FAFSA nights, our undocumented nights, and like these other nights of the year where as a school, our college and career readiness team allow for different speakers and legal advisors to come into our schools and support students of undocumented parents so that they can legally know what can and cannot happen when it comes to them applying to school and not applying to school, some of their different options after high school and stuff like that, and just really trying to create spaces not only for our students to be successful, but for the parents by having like, you can come and get your taxes done with us. You can come and get English classes from us. You can come and find out about where GED and all that other, any types of supports that we can provide for that community are available to our school.
So now I'm thinking like in a healthy world where everything's functioning well, to Dan's point, we're not there right now. We got William at a school and they're inviting families in and talking about GED programs, and Amy is working with those parents. And right now she's not allowed to ask them any questions, but like they can come in and, get their GED and work with you. And then say more about this psychologist point that you're making, Ann Rose. Is she frozen?
I had me on mute. Do you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the night or the morning of, just the principals let the teachers know that the psychologists and other support staff are on call to handle any students who may be upset. But there wasn't, like what William is saying, that was an ongoing thing in place. Hi, William, by the way. Prior to school even starting. So right now we're in this like knee-jerk reaction because I don't think anybody even thought it was possible that he would win. So we didn't have anything in place. So we're kind of like trying to figure it out as we go along, and just putting out fires instead of doing something like William's school did ahead of time. That definitely would have helped out. But like I said, who thought this would be our reality? Not me.
It is revolutionary, Vivett. Say more. You're on mute.
Mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. Hi. I think sometimes there can be, I'll speak for myself. I don't focus on what the school can do because that, I don't have control over that. I can only make sure that when my students are in Ms. Dukes' space, they're safe. So like my heart has really grown for the LGBTQ community. And a classmate of mine in grad school said, we focus a lot on race, but there are other groups who feel marginalized. So I joined a group called Glisten, and now I have a little sticker that says, I'm an ally. Like, you can come to me, you can feel safe here. What we're doing is revolutionary by us being vulnerable and showing our students that we have things we're scared about and fears and things that we've overcome, and just like forget the content for a minute. It has its place. It's there. We get it. We're doing it too. But we have to tackle this first. No student is going to hear anything we have to say about conjugating verbs or writing argumentative essays or passing exam until we can get to what's going on with them. Like, you have to be a person. I have to look into your eyes. And like, we can let them know I'm not having a good day. This is what's going on. And I guess I've just always been like that because that's just me in general, right? I'll tell my kids, oh, my daughter just pissed me off right now on the way to school. So give me a minute. Now's not the time to really ask me anything. Have a seat. And they start to know me, where the other kids in the room start to manage, like, Miss is not doing well right now, y'all chill. When that level of love is going on in the room and they now know me, when I say to them, all right, y'all chill, I let you talk for a minute. We got to write this argumentative essay now. They're more inclined to do it because I got to know them. Get to know your students, guys, like for real. Get to know them, what they're about, who they are, what help them discover their truth. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're trying to learn it. We don't know. Just, I'm going to get off the soapbox, but it's just something I'm really passionate about because people in front of us are hurting. And I think it's deplorable that in a school filled with people, nobody's tapping into some students. They just skate by every day and no one is really like, yo, what's up with that kid? You don't have to know them. They don't have to be your student. Just look at them like, you okay? You good? All right, see you later. That does wonders. And they'll look at you like you're crazy. Like, why is she talking to me? Don't worry about that. I'll be the crazy teacher that talks to everybody. And guaranteed when there's something going on, they'll find me and be like, oh, miss, blah, 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 blah. Why are kids talking to me my first year in the school and there's teachers who've been there 7, 8, 9, 10 years who they haven't connected with anybody? Come on now. Yeah, I'm going to stop preaching because it's about to go another way.
And yups and preaches, but we have 3 minutes left. So here's what I want to call out. And my friend Dan posted a radically vulnerable statement. And so in the chat, and I got to tell you, friend, that I think I told you this when I saw you at Biff, we conducted 50 interviews with students. And in Kentucky, especially, they said, look, miss, belonging matters. We like this whole conversation. One of the things we have to deal with is the anxiety and depression that so many kids are facing, and it literally like knows no boundaries, socioeconomic, racial, or otherwise. And we don't talk about it in school, and there's so much of it. And so the kids at Fern Creek High School in Louisville, Kentucky, are starting their own like anxiety belonging campaign because they see it and nobody's addressing it. So I really appreciate you sharing your truth, man. The other thing that I see you guys doing is, can you talk a little bit about the safety pin? What we want to leave with here, and we have this awesome chat, and thank you for such a great conversation, are just some things that we can share out of this chat with people. So the 13th idea, I see you guys throwing up the safety pin. I know you said the cloud, like students who are undocumented are welcomed here. I'm sure you could use that cloud, right, or that sort of signage with any type of student. But tell us more about the safety pin.
I'll speak to the safety pin real quick. I don't know if it predates the kids lit safety pin idea. It might, but I know that a bunch of children's book illustrators started with Mo Willems, and then the guy who did Origami Yoda took the safety pin idea, the safety pin just being a symbol of that this is a safe place. I'm someone you can come to. I'm someone you can reach out to. If you're scared, come to me. I will accept you however you are. And these artists just took to it and started making completely original pieces of art that they made in a day, and put them up as posters for libraries, classrooms, anybody who wants to print off, put them up, and let people know that this is a safe place. And then, like I see, Amy is pointing out, one of the troubles is like with any ribbon campain, it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't mean anything. If you're just doing it because it's what everyone is doing. We had a paperclip campaign years ago for Holocaust survivor recognition, remembrance, and same kind of thing, because what was it, Sweden or Norway? They wore paper clips to as solidarity against the Nazi occupation.
And Brexit ruined, apparently, Amy, for us here in America, potentially, the safety pin. But
right, but
we will not let them ruin it.
Right. Well, the thing is, you have to talk, like we were kind of saying in the back channel there, like you have to talk about why you're doing it. You can't just do it. And you have to also, then your actions have to match that, and I'm, and the last thing I'll say, and I was feeling like when the last time I talked was all like, and this is why it sucks, and this is why everything sucks, and things and suck, and sucky suck, and dumb stupid head. But instead of that, like one little thing you can do, and that's why I put it in my little sharing thing, is it's so remarkably like affirming and like lightening for yourself to be open with kids about something that you wouldn't necessarily think is okay to be open with kids about. I've been open with kids about my depression, about my anxiety, about dealing with my anger issues, about dealing with I use hypnotherapy to deal with my stuff, like, and just being that little bit of vulnerable and letting them know that I'm the son of a recovering alcoholic, things like that. Like, for those kids in my room who see me as the guy who wears a tie and skinny jeans and they can't figure out if I'm gay or not, like, just being vulnerable with them a little bit, it lets them know it's okay. And I do it through humor too. I'm just like, today's not freaking out is brought to you by the magic of Effexor, everybody. Like, you don't, it doesn't have to be like, let's all be sad about my depression. It can be like, I struggle with it, yo, so do you. It's all right. It's okay. You can just talk about it if you need to, but you don't have to. But just know that I do, that it's all right.
All right. Preach on. They do detect a fake. They can smell, kids can smell it from a mile away, man. When I did these interviews, they all were like, I like walked in here, like, who's this lady? What do you want? And I had to like be super humble. Okay, so we are at time. You guys are the best for joining our first ever Savenzo live event, which I thought was awesome. And it like made my entire week already. It just started. So before we log off, don't you all jump off in a second. Can everybody just share one thing that they got out of this, perhaps in hashtag mode, perhaps a whole paragraph, perhaps a share your truth moment, but share something, a word or a longer before you jump off.
Always great to build with all of you. I ain't seen Ann Rose or heard from Ann Rose in so long. I just did my heart some joy, some serious joy. I love you to life. So, like, this was great.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody too, man. And Derek.
Yes.
Shout out to my boy Derek out there.
All right, I'm gonna say, Vivett, thank you for making Share Your Truth go viral on this call and beyond, because it means a lot to kids, and I'm super grateful.
My aunt, among some of the best minds ever created. So I really appreciate all of you, and I know that what we're doing here is revolutionary. Know that it doesn't have to always be major. The little things you do are major to a kid, and that's why I got into this. Or that's why I got into it. I always speak my truth. There were teachers that they straight up got. They saw me. They saw all of this that's happening now in my life when I was a scared little girl. They saw that in me and they believed in me and they told me that. And that's why I'm able to do these things now. So we'll see the fruits of our labor. Just keep pushing ahead, y'all. Share your truth. Do it. Don't be scared.
All right, Ann Rose.
Yeah.
What's your final word or more?
You guys made me smile. haven't been doing a lot of that lately, and I know that I'm not alone, and it's just so important. A lot of the work I do is centers around belonging, so this is awesome. We're just going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, we are. And thank you for sharing your 2 cents on the Savenzo site. Don't think I missed that. I saw that. I was like,
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Amy or Dan, you guys take it away. All right, Christina.
I don't need to take anything away. I'm good. I spoke all my.
You spoke all share your truth. You shared a truth. You did, and we were grateful. Amy.
I loved this. It was great. And it was so nice to actually talk to you with Vivett.
Yes, in person, quote unquote, to see you.
Person.
Yes. So much. Good to see you.
I feel good.
I'm glad. Tell your brother I said hi.
I gotta tell you guys, like, I actually feel like for some reason this is kind of I don't know, this Zoom thing isn't bad. We just tried. We were like, let's try Zoom. I don't know, there's so many of them, but it seems more intimate. Yeah. Christina. What?
This is just really inspiring. Thank you all. I think I said in the chat, it's such a good reminder that that everyone, but especially young people and students, are just hoping that someone will see them and understand them. But in order for them to make that connection, I think it's on us as the adults to let ourselves be seen too. And that's really the common thread across what a lot of you were saying. And that can be really hard when you're trying to kind of have your armor on and present yourself in a certain way to also bring that realness and that humanity. And so thank you for inspiring me to do that this week. It's been great seeing all of you.
All right.
I'll see you for chat.
Thank you all. Vivett and Dan are going to hook up on some empathy and design thinking, fueled problem solving and teaching English. So I can't wait to see what happens. I'm scared. Tune in for our next live Savenzo event coming up in 2 weeks. We are so excited. We don't know who's going to host it yet, but we will soon. But it's going to be amazing. And we really want to host these every 2 weeks. And we're grateful to you for being the first to ever participate. So thanks a lot. And now go share some comments on savenzo.org. I'm looking at you, Dan. I'm looking at you, Amy. I'm looking at you guys. I will be looking for you on the site. Come on.
Savenzo.org.
On this conversation. We've got to do it.
Yes.
National support.
Hey, you just put up my best friend's post today or yesterday, so.
All right. Well,
Jeff Bailey, baby.
Let's see what's going on. See you there. Bye, Rose. Bye, Amy. Bye, Dan. Bye, Dan. Bye, Christina.
Bye.
Bye.